Hey everyone, welcome to Illustrator. Alright, first let's go ahead and you'll notice that we don't have any document to work in. Illustrator's up because I can see that the interface is here and it says that the application name on the top, but there's nothing to work on because we actually don't have a document in yet. So what we're going to do is go to File, New, and it should bring up a dialog box. Here we go. And this is where we kind of create one. This is basically saying what format it's going to be. Is it print? Is it for the web? Right? Let's just go with default print, letter size. Right now it should be defaulted. In fact, if we put it to inches, we can see that it's actually 8.5 by 11, which is perfect. We do have the option of vertical or horizontal orientation, like landscape, and something called bleed. We'll talk about this later. We'll talk about all this advanced stuff later. Let's just get rid of that for now. Leave that default 0, hit OK, and here we go. We have our default window, right? This is just our blank canvas. So let's talk about text. This type tool right here. Before we begin, actually, if you hover over anything here, you'll notice that it gives you the actual name and the shortcut. So if you're ever confused about it, just hover and wait. Wait for the tooltip to come up. So the type tool, if you noticed, what's the shortcut? It's T. You got it. In fact, that one's an easy one. It's a gimme. It says it right there on the letter itself, the icon. So with the type tool, there's actually two things you can do with it. Two different ways of creating text. It's point text and area text. Point text, if I just click on a point and then start typing. Right? Actually, let me get back in here and make this bigger. Typing with point text. So if you ever want to exit the typing mode, you'll have to, one way to do it is to switch tools. The other tool that we'll be using a lot is this first one called the selection tool. And you'll notice that the shortcut's V. I can't use the shortcut right now because I'm in typing mode, so if I hit V, it's just going to create a V. So for this case, I'm actually going to have to go and select it. And this allows me to move the text around and do more. We'll talk about that in a bit. The other thing that we can do with the type tool is create area text. So if we want to create point just by clicking, area text is by clicking and dragging. Oops, there we go. And I'll just click to be different, to do something else. Now you'll realize that they look exactly the same, but they behave so much differently. Let's talk about what else the selection tool can do. If I click on one of these, you'll know that it's selected. You can see that it has the bounding box around it with these 8 little corners. These allow you to resize it, okay? So why don't I go ahead and resize this? You'll notice that the point text gets smaller as we'd expect. The area text, on the other hand, not so much. It's not getting smaller. What's actually happening is that area text tries to stay within this little box, this confine, and the text itself, the font, doesn't get smaller. It's just the area that it lives in gets constricted. Okay, so if you're ever wanting to like change sizes of stuff, point text usually is the better way to go. It's for headlines, it's for making designs, but if you ever want to make a paragraph and long types of text, area text is easily the best way to do it. It's a good way to like create layouts, right? So if I wanted, let's say I wanted a 2-column thing here, and then a big picture up top, this is the way to do it. Because that way I can change the size that the text lives in, how many columns are on the page, and everything like that. Another thing that we can do, let's talk about the selection tool, is that we can actually rotate. You'll notice that if I go to the corner, it'll give me the double arrow. If I go a little bit outside of the corner, I have to be really finicky with this. A little bit outside of the corner, it changes to the rounded double arrow, which allows me to click and drag and rotate this, okay? And in fact, as I rotate, you can see that it tells me the angle, and that's really useful, very, very useful. If I try rotating area text, it's not going to rotate the text itself, it just rotates the box that it lives in, alright? So again, sometimes area text is the less intuitive way to deal with text, but it does have some really good purposes later on. We'll play around with those in a bit. So one last thing I want to leave you with, though, when we're working with text, or when we're using the selection tool, the other good thing that we can do, if we click on something to select it, then we can move it. And we can click and drag to select multiple things and move them both at once. But if you, let's say that there's something in the middle that we don't want, right? Let's see. If we try clicking and dragging, we're going to grab that. We're going to grab the don't want this, that's bad. So one way to get around that is, while you're using the selection tool to select stuff, click on one, hold shift, and click on something else. So that's going to help you select different things. If I wanted to hold shift and click on this last part again, the area text, that deselects it. It just basically toggles the selection. So I can hold shift, click on this, it gets rid of it, click it again, and it's back in my selection. I can add this to my selection by holding shift and clicking. Okay? So that's a lot of stuff. I know. We just went over the type tool to create point type and area type, and we figured out the differences. And we used the selection tool to select something, moving it, sizing it, rotating it, and also how to select multiple things using shift. Alright? That's our video for today. Thank you so much for watching.